Hello and welcome to Fantasy Plus. We're now through the preseason, right? It's finally the end of September where we start playing games where teams actually make sense where they're going. I'm Aaron Lafferty, joined with Phil Pinarski, Alec Giannakopoulos, with your Week 5 episode of Fantasy Plus. It was a big week of some duds, some studs, and some injuries. Alec, Phil, what are you thinking?
I'm doing good. I promise to engage in conversation with Phil. I'm not going to block him like my Bears did the Raiders at the end of that game. But good. Otherwise, good.
What an awful weekend for me. I mean, not only do I watch just one of the worst ways to lose a football game with my Raiders, but then you also got to bring in the fantasy aspect to this. I was up against the big boss and really... An egg is an understatement. I dropped an anvil, honestly, on everything that happened. So not my best week, but hoping for a better week 5.
I don't know if your score was worse than mine. We'll get to that.
We'll
get to that in the end of the show. First, let's start with the headlines. Dak Prescott was your QB one of the week, 31 out of 40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he ran one in.
And they tied. And they got the tie.
And that was a great game for just fantasy in general. That Packers defense is starting to look a little bit more fantasy viable than I thought they were when they took out the Lions in week 1. But that was if you had anybody on either side of the ball that week, you were happy.
Yeah, and then Phil Genty, you were probably waiting for this.
Oh, yeah.
21 carries, 138 yards for Ashton Genty. He's RB1 of the week. He got a touchdown on the ground and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, no, loved what we saw out of him, kind of like what we saw out of Trey Tucker against Washington. You know, he had a really big game, and just hopefully he's able to kind of carry that throughout the rest of the season. God knows the Raiders need it. God knows I need it. But, yeah, no, definitely great to see there. And hopefully, more of what's to come with him.
On the other end, if your running back is playing the Bears, keep them in the starting rotation.
Yes. Fair to say that.
They don't know what they're doing when it comes to running backs.
Like you said a couple weeks ago, play the Bears.
Yes.
Nakua, if you're a Nakua manager, you're not surprised by this, but 13 receptions, 170 yards, and a touchdown's nice.
I saw this stat the other day. I think the current wide receiver 3 is Roma Dunze. He's closer in points to wide receiver 22 than he is wide receiver 1, which is Puka Nacua. That guy is a league winner, and it shouldn't be a surprise.
Right. And then your tight end of the week, 37 yards, top tight ends, but 2 touchdowns for Goddard. Darren Waller would be your postscript on this. He had 3 catches for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And you want to hear a really sad thing about Darren Waller?
Oh, no.
I drafted him and got rid of him.
Yeah.
Before the season actually got started, because I was like, there's no way he's going to play. And then the one time, I think I had Harold Fannin starting for me at tight end. I think I got maybe 4 points. So again, just another Phil failure. I think I'm really living up to my team name.
Well, I did. I drafted Waller in another league late, and then sometimes you got to drop somebody to pick up somebody. So that's the guy that had to go. And then the injury. Speaking of guys that had to go,
bad week
for this guy right here. Malik Neighbors, ACL, he's out for the season. Tyreek Hill with a very tough knee injury that might put him out for more than just this season.
It might just be. His agent said he's playing next year, but you can't take all the stock in that.
Probably not even ready for the beginning of the season if he is at all. Lamar Jackson's dealing with a hamstring. Pearsall. Bucky Irving has an undisclosed injury.
That one's interesting. He's in a boot, but they haven't said anything yet. We'll have to keep waiting on more news there.
And then also Cedric Tillman, if you're getting a little bit deeper in wide receivers, he's also dealing with an injury. So keep an eye on those injury reports. And the bye weeks are upon us. So we've got 4 teams on a bye this week. Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. There's 2 starting running backs. There's 2 starting wide receivers.
Especially if you had, neighbors on your team. Now's the time of, especially in extended formats when you have maybe 2 flexes.
Right.
There's no shame in getting a guy off the waivers for a week. There's no shame in that. We'll get in that later. But don't be like, all right, well, I drafted this guy. He's got to be better than the guys on waivers.
Right.
Not always true. Play the matchups, because we're now in survive and advance mode when we're kind of dealing with both the combination of injuries and the bye week.
Yeah, I definitely think looking at the matchups is the way to go, especially if you are looking for just that one guy, even for just the week. It's kind of like Moneyball. You can't replace some of these top guys, but you can, kind of rebuild some of those points out by picking up and really just paying attention to the waiver wires. I know Alec really touched on it perfectly. That matchup matchup, look for the if you're for the offensive side, look for the teams that are giving up tons of points already. I mean, that even if it's a guy who's maybe the third string receiver or maybe a backup running back, he's probably going to get touches. So that's probably the way to go. At least look at it for this week.
Is Darius Slayton getting you 8 points? Perfect.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Exactly.
It's a bye-week replacement. It's a 1-week rental sometimes. And then if they do hit, then you've got somebody that you didn't expect.
Absolutely. Work the waivers.
Somebody like Malik Washington looking to replace Tyreek Hill. Obviously not an exact replacement, but he does a lot of the same kinds of stuff. He's a speedy receiver. So if he's obviously, by the time the show airs, waivers have passed in most leagues, but keep an eye because there are players out there that could help you for a week. Let's jump into the Thursday night preview. NFC West again.
Another great game.
Phil, last week we talked about the Seahawks and Cardinals, but now we got the Niners and the Rams.
Yeah.
Rams, the over-under went up to 5.5. It started at 4.5.
I mean, the NFC West is so. We kind of knew it kind of going in that this division would be pretty loaded, but my gosh, you got 3 teams sitting at 3-1 right now, and the 2 of the top teams. You have to throw Seattle in there, even Arizona. They've looked good in some spots. So again, I think really great to see them highlighting the NFC West this early on in the season, because this is going to be a division that we're going to be keeping a close eye on.
Watch out for Brock Purdy, because it's a short week and he was fighting that turf toe.
Yep.
So that's probably a reason why that line moved a point, as you mentioned, Aaron. Keep an eye out for him, because the backup's Mac Jones, right? I mean, some guys will still eat, but you're not going to have your starting quarterback if you're going to fire up a receiver or running back on that team. So watch. I mean, McCaffrey will still eat, though. Yeah. Still, watch for Purdy. That's important here.
Take it from me, who's got T. Higgins on their team. The backup quarterback does not mean that they're still going to get even remotely the same amount of touches.
Even we've seen Jamar Chase struggle, too.
Yeah. And Mac Jones got hurt a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Who's the third string on that team? Me at that point. Give me a helmet and a jersey. I'll start throwing balls.
We'll see. There's tropical weather in the southeast, so let's check in with meteorologist Blake Harms to see how the weather's looking for Week 5.
Hey guys, well the good news is just about every game that's being played this weekend looks to be unimpacted by weather, at least inclement weather. It's going to be a warm Sunday, especially in the eastern half of the United States. That includes in Cincinnati, where the Lions are heading to for Sunday's 4:30 game. We're looking at temps in the mid-80s, sunny skies right in the heat of the day. It's certainly going to be a warm game, especially for October standards. Now, as we look across the United States, you can see it's going to be fairly active across the southeast. Lots of pop-up showers and storms. Carolina's playing at home. They look to be on the northern periphery of this. Both Tampa and Miami are away. The Saints, of course, playing a dome. So there really aren't going to be many, if any, games that are impacted by weather in this part of the country. And as we look across the rest of the U.S., has some rain up in the plains, but of course no teams up there. So it looks like a pretty quiet Sunday as far as the stadiums are concerned. Very few games are likely to be impacted by weather, not only here in the U.S., but across the pond over in Tottenham, London, England, where the Vikings are taking on the Browns in a 9:30 a.m. Eastern kickoff. Looking at partly cloudy skies, temperatures right around 60 degrees, so a touch on the cool side, more what we're used to for October, right? Bottom line is going to be feeling like summer, and the weather looks pretty cooperative for just about every game that's being played either here in the U.S. or across the pond this weekend.
All right, thanks, Blake. Well, hopefully that good weather prevails for the week. We are ready to look at the rest of Week 5. Lots of interesting matchups. You got the 4 teams down in the right corner on a bye. Falcons, Bears, Packers, Steelers. So, and if you have any of those players, get them out of your lineup. And if you have anybody playing in London Sunday morning, Vikings, Browns, make sure you don't get what happened to Jaylen Warren.
Who's waking
owners.
up early for that one?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Jaylen Warren was a late scratch Sunday morning last week, so you're going to want to get up at 9 o'clock and double-check your player. Otherwise, are you concerned about Vikings going up against this Browns defense?
That's 2 backups. Or I guess not. I mean, kind of, because it's Dylan's first game. Yes. I mean, I understand the Browns are the Browns, but that's a defense that prides itself on overwhelming quarterbacks who aren't ready to handle 6 dudes blitzing almost every single play. Yes, I'm very concerned with what the Browns are able to do. The Vikings played a really weird game over there last week where nothing was going on until the fourth quarter, but they should be able to get their points, even though that's a good Browns defense. Unless it's like you have, JJ on your team, I would try to find someone else to play in those positions because it's a great Browns defense, and it's an offense that's going to struggle against an elite Vikings defense. That's one that scares me, especially that early in the morning.
I think it's appropriate that this game is being played overseas because we might see a soccer score out of this. I do not expect either team to really get it going on offense. You might see a touchdown here and there. Honestly, I'm with everybody else. I would kind of just try to avoid this one as best as possible because, the Vikings offense, they got to go up against the Browns defense. The Browns offense, well, you've got a brand new rookie quarterback that's got to go against this Vikings defense. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Probably best, to just avoid it if you can.
The NFL's trying to grow the game, right? That's
Right.
why they're playing games in Europe, and that's the game they pick. All right.
The rest of the 1 o'clock slate is not super exciting until you get down to that Denver-Philadelphia game.
That should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look for games that are like specifically like good offense versus bad defense, and I'm not really finding much. I think there isn't one that I go, oh yeah, if you have a guy on both sides, start him. I don't see a shootout brewing in this kind of schedule.
I will say, though, Detroit taking on Cincinnati. If you've got Sam Laporta, Jameer
Yes.
Gibbs,
Yeah, the 4 o'clock
Montgomery,
window is much.
anybody, honestly. Even Jared Goff, I guess you could probably throw in there as well.
The Bengals might score 6 points. So,
Yes.
it's not a shootout, but yes, fire up your Lions because they're going
Yes.
to eat.
Right.
Yep. There might be some previews here of our picks for later, but still in that 1 o'clock slate, Houston-Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is banged up.
It is bad.
So
and Houston is
maybe
coming off a very good week, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll get that. But what is Baltimore going to be without Lamar?
right. At least Nico Collins should be a good
Yes.
start. But yeah, you're watching Lamar because otherwise that game's trouble all over. Possible upset. I like Denver, Philadelphia. That's 2 good defenses.
I think we'll get a great game in terms of Commanders at Chargers. I
Right.
believe Daniels is on pace to come back
Yeah,
here.
but they also said that last week too. So
That's
we'll
true.
see.
So if we should get a great game, a Chargers team that's hungry after a loss they should have had, I don't know if that means we're going to get an explosion of points and something that resembles Packers-Cowboys last week, but that'll be a great game to watch as a football fan.
I am a little interested about Seattle and Tampa Bay because
Yeah.
you've got 2 teams. They're having great starts to the year, but again, they're dealing with injuries. They're trying to figure out a whole host of things, and I think it'll be interesting. Again, that's one of the games I just could not pick. I honestly don't know which way I'm kind of favoring right now.
That game could turn into a shootout.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay kind of had that effect with the Eagles last week.
Yep.
Both teams, I think, are capable of it. It's just a matter of how the game plays out.
Right.
And Tampa Bay's not great against passing.
No.
They're really good against the run, and Seattle prefers to run right now. So we'll see how that matches up. Then Sunday night we got the AFC East matchup, the Patriots, Bills.
There are definitely games where you look at like, oh yeah, Detroit's going to feast on the Bengals. Dallas should get points on that Jets defense. Like there are definitely matchups that are favorable. I'm looking for the ones that go both ways, and I just don't see any on this board.
Yeah. I am interested to see what Drake May is going to do. We've all been kind of waiting for him to have that stellar breakout performance. He's been, great or good here and there. And that back end of that Bills defense has been prone to the deep ball. So, you got to think maybe this is the time. But again, I still think Buffalo is clearly the better team in that situation. They'll probably end up winning that game handedly. But again, we might be in store for finally at least a big time performance from Drake May.
And the Saints kept it close last week against the Bills. So we'll see if
They're going to win a game.
soon they will.
I'm not going to tell you say win.
Exactly.
But they're going to win a game soon.
So careful if you keep picking against them in Survivor. And then Kansas City, Jacksonville in the Monday night game. If Kansas City loses, they're going to be 2-3.
I'm not worried about Kansas City.
The Jaguars are 3-1.
With how they handled the Ravens, that to me, that was like, yep, all right. They warmed up. Jacksonville is the team I don't know what to make of.
Yep.
Great win last week. What are they? And when is Brian Thomas Jr. going to be the guy we all drafted? Those are my 2 big questions about that team.
They're tied to top the South right now, I can tell you
Yeah.
that. Let's take a break. What are we doing next? Let's see. We're going to talk about the Survivor pool. who's in, who's out. Two people keep seeming to pick the same team. We'll take our player of the week, our plus player, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. It's time to talk about the Eye of the Survivor. That Bills game where I was
Got a
just
little
mentioning.
scary there,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was close for a minute. It was within the touchdown, and then luckily they pulled ahead. So I get to advance. Blake has been quietly picking
Just cruised.
teams that you would not go chalk on, and he won convincingly.
Yep.
Good job, Blake. Blake moves on to week 5. And then we have Jack and Alec. They picked the Packers. 40-40 overtime. The first 40-40 score in NFL history. So you got the scoregami. The first
we were a
40-40
second away
tie.
from not having that. That was an interesting end
Yes.
to that game.
The second highest tie game in NFL history. And 1 second away from it being
Yeah.
Dunzo for Alec and Jack.
Is it just us 4 left in this?
Just the 4 of us left,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So then, I looked it up. Most survivor pools, if you don't win, you're out.
You sure?
I thought, I'll be nice. Pick another game. Hey guys, pick another game. And you both picked the Broncos.
What was a great pick?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. It was the chalk game, but you both picked the Broncos.
Yep.
So there we are. Moving on.
We were right. I don't
Yeah.
Right. So I'm
Great
taking
minds
the
think alike, right?
I'm taking the Colts against Phil's Raiders.
Interesting
I went
pick.
back and I went
Safe
back
pick.
and forth. I thought about the Lions, but I'm concerned about the road.
I'm not.
The Bengals look terrible against the
look-
Broncos.
The Bengals. Did you see the video where
They
the
looked-
Broncos rushed 3?
Yeah.
And they still got through.
They look terrible. That's why I was that close to picking the Lions. I was that close, but then I'm like, I don't want the
Sure.
Lions to be the reason why.
Well, I
go
hate
out.
that I keep this. I know this time, and for most of these picks, you ask us individually.
Yep.
And I hate that I keep lining up with Jack. But the Lions division is tough. I mean, they beat the stuffing
Right.
out of the Bears, but they won't
Right.
play them again until week 17.
Right.
And at any time, let's say the Vikings start feeling their oats, the Packers are good, and that schedule's tough too. So now's
Yeah.
your time to take the Lions when they're taking on a Bengals team that doesn't seem to resemble a football team right
Yeah.
now.
And they've got Kansas City and Tampa Bay afterwards,
Yep.
and before
Yeah.
that bye week. And I don't think
Yeah.
anybody, obviously the Lions will probably be favored or maybe have a chance at it, but even
This is
then,
the
it's just
safest, yeah.
too close, right?
This is your time to pick the
Yeah.
Lions.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should have. We'll see what happens. And then Blake, look at him go. Look at him.
On
Look
a
at him
roll.
go. He's picking the Cardinals
Look at
against.
this sharp here, man. Washington, he's got all the great teams left here.
Yeah.
He's on a roll.
Yeah. If if he hangs in here with his pick against the Titans, he might just have all the good teams left, and we'll be fishing for
We're
winners.
scrambling.
So
We've only had one 0-, or I guess now 2 0-16, 17 teams. These teams do win games, so you have to be a little careful. But Blake's had no issue so far, and who am I to critique him? My team tied last week. I
Right.
think he's doing just fine.
It is interesting to note that this is the first week when nobody's picked the team playing the Saints, and that's just because it's the Giants.
And the Saints look scary.
Yeah, right.
They had some life in them. This could be when they win a game. But who knows? Because the Giants actually had some heart last week.
Yeah.
when we come back, we'll do some plus minus. Our plus players of the week are coming up. The player we think might have a good week that you might want to put in your lineup, or maybe see if they're on waivers. Who knows? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. It's plus minus time. Everyone's favorite segment, or maybe just mine. Who's your plus player of the week? The player you think, regardless of if they're on your team, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, that will be the player of the week for you. Who wants to go first?
Alec, why don't you take it?
I'll
Phil.
start it.
Okay.
So my plus player of the week is what we were talking about here when it comes down to waivers and injuries and, oh goodness, I need a body. I think Darius Slayton is a great body to have, especially with losing their number one wide receiver. A thing about like handcuffs and a thing about next man up is I love it for receivers because someone has to catch the football. And Slayton is a sure-handed guy. I don't think he'll tear the world on fire and really become a wide receiver one, but he's got a high floor, and we are in survive and advance mode. I am so much more able to go, yep, I'm going to get you off waivers, because I think he was at least available this week, and in many leagues I'm sure he still is, and I'm going to throw you into my team, and you are going to get me at least 6 points with high potential. I think he's handcuffed a little bit because he is dealing with a new quarterback that has to figure some things out, but the ball has to be thrown and somebody has to catch it. I'm not as excited about running backs off the waiver wires because more often than not, we become a committee. Still, there could be some really boom potential with a guy off the waivers, but my guy is Darius. I think he is going to have a high floor. I think he's going to be a safe amount of catches a week. And I think when you are in a world where a lot of your guys we lose 2 wide receiver ones in 1 week, you can do a lot worse.
Absolutely. Guy, this might be kind of an obvious choice here. I mean, I mentioned the Lions. I think if you've got anybody on the Lions, you're probably a good idea to just go ahead and leave him in the starting lineup for this week. But a guy I think is going to potentially, and I truly do think might be receiver one this week, is George Pickens. We've already seen that connection with him and Dak Prescott. It's already really growing. Even that was with CeeDee Lamb in the lineup. CeeDee Lamb is not there anymore. He is obviously receiver number 1 for Dallas. They're going up against the Jets this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a couple of touchdowns, well over 100 yards, and probably double-digit catches, too.
I like that pick a lot. I have Jack Doles' pick if you want it.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Go ahead.
So he's a Woody Marks guy.
Okay.
And I know you just heard me say I'm not crazy about getting running backs off the waivers and throwing them into my team, but I do see the potential here in Woody Marks because that's a running back room that doesn't really have an alpha yet, and we're seeing his shares increase week by week. I think he's a great guy to get off of waivers. I think he did give me a post-it note. And just to make fun of Jack, if you guys don't mind.
I wasn't sure where this was going.
Can you guys read this? Is this legible to you? Let me focus. It's kind of. It looks like Wendy Meeks.
RB Tex.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he told me because I would have said draft Wendy Meeks off of your waiver wire.
I'm all in on the Colts. My pick of the week is Daniel Jones.
Wow.
Quarterback. He's having himself a time. I think I'm going to be okay. I think Daniel Jones is going to be okay. Sometimes he's taking the quarterback sneak, the tush push, whatever the Indianapolis version of that is. He's throwing the ball. He's got receivers that can catch the ball. So I'm going with Daniel Jones as my plus player of the week. I figured I was all in. That's kind of what.
I like the pick, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm all
Like
in
I
with
said,
the survivor pick and the plus pick.
What I like is I think we all have different takes. Oh, I'm sorry. This is my plus, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like how we all have different takes because I'm always like, I view my plus guy as the week as a guy I can trade for or a guy I can pick up. But it's also important to say like guys that are going to just blow up because sometimes people don't think about that or they're going against that. And that's important because if you're going up against a guy that you think is going to blow up, my opinion is you take more risks on your lineup. You get rid of more floor guys and get more ceiling guys because you know he's going to put points up. So it's important to say guys that are also going to really explode.
Right. Last week I said play the Packers and Dobbs blew up. I was able to pick him up in a league and put him right in the lineup and he blew up. So look for those advantageous matchups. We're going to get you an update here on our league. Things are starting to shake out and I keep having to play the best team in the league. 127 points, and I couldn't give Dan his first loss. Dan stays undefeated.
138.
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough. Brian had the 150 last week. Now I got to play the undefeated guy. Anyways, enough about me, right? Phil, you had 83.
Hey, let's just move on, right?
Okay, well, quick pivot to.
Definitely not my best showing. I think my receivers combined for 4 points, so that's going to do it. And I had Travis Etienne on my bench, which is very annoying because I think he had 24 points or something like that.
That's
Again, I still would have lost, but at least I would have hit double digits, right?
Yeah.
Or triple digits.
Tough go for Jack there.
Yeah, tough loss.
That's a tough one to wear.
Yeah. I'm sure Brian and Jack will be talking about that on set. Second page, Alec picks up win number 2.
Thank goodness. So I'm going to be honest with the room here. This seems like a place where I can be a little transparent.
Oh, let's go back on
I
camera.
got married over the weekend, and I had some more things on my mind than my fantasy football lineup.
Of course.
And thank goodness that Cam had also not been too present on his fantasy football team
Right.
because he had Jalen Warren, who was out.
Yeah.
So it was a wedding gift from him to me, and I
Right.
appreciate it because we had kind of a slow day
Yeah.
as a team. But and thank you to Cam for the wedding gift that keeps on giving as we got a win in week 4.
What was
Laney-
the best part of your weekend? Winning or getting married?
Man, there's getting married
Yeah.
up there. The Bears blocking that kick,
Yeah.
probably number 2.
Yeah.
And then fantasy number 3. It was a great weekend.
Yeah.
3 for 3, really, when you think about it.
All right. Laney got her second win, beating Matt. That was his first loss of the season, so congrats,
Love to see
Laney.
that.
Thanks to Gentie's 3 touchdowns. And then Gavin picks up his second win against the defending champ, Feisty Kitties. Not looking as feisty this year. George Pickens went off, so in CeeDee Lamb's absence.
That'll help.
There's one team still undefeated. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't do it. I didn't have
all right, you
enough
tried.
points. I didn't have enough points.
I just like seeing Jack at the way bottom.
Yeah,
That makes me happy.
yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only 1-3 team. You know, I genuinely thought coming into today I was going to be the laughing stock, but you know, I've got some friends along the way, and we'll be able to hopefully ride the ship throughout the rest of the year.
I'm glad no one's 0-4. I think
Exactly,
everyone still is
Yep.
in reach. Nothing is decided yet after 4 weeks, and that's what matters for a fun league.
So this week, Brian Sterling takes on the boss. Phil, you and I are the matchup of the 1-3 teams.
You could really, one of you is going to have a really tough road ahead
Yeah,
at 1-4.
right. And then Jack gets to try to do what I tried to do last week and beat the undefeated Dan Nichols team.
Good try.
I mean, he's got
It's a great team,
he's
man.
got pieces. He's got Allen and Abuka,
It's a really good team.
but that second round pick McConkey's kind of hurting him right now.
Sure.
Alec, you get to take on Gavin.
Yeah, let's go enjoyers.
Laney's taking on Mike, and Cam takes on Mac. We've got plenty of bye weeks coming, so send us your lineup, your team on X or Instagram or Threads, or you can email us fantasyplus@woodtv.com. That leads us to our final question: who are you, or will you be, if you don't have anybody this week on bye? Who will you be starting in a bye week? Who's coming off the bench for you in a bye week ahead? Jack, I noted this. Jack has Bijan this week. Alec, you have Adunze on
Yep.
bye.
I am okay receiver-wise because Tet McMillan's on my bench.
Okay.
And that's the only guy in that team that catches the football. So come on up to the flex and replace Roma Dunze. And tight end, I'm perfect because I either have Tucker Kraft or I have one of the best tight ends in the league in Brock Bowers. So, all right, Brock, you're still up there. I might flex Kraft next week, let's be honest. But
I almost want to rewind to a couple weeks ago when you said you wouldn't flex a tight end.
my bench isn't looking good, and it's not a point of pride. It's not a necessity.
This is the bye weeks.
Yes,
This is what you have to do.
It is not a point of pride.
You know, I think when I was drafting this team, I did take into account where their bye weeks were kind of lining
I
up. You know,
never
I
do
didn't
that.
want to end up. I maybe to a fault I did that because look where I'm standing right now in the ranking. But you know, I was kind of like playing that out in my mind, like, okay, well, I want to have a third guy that I can bring in, for a receiver. I want to make sure they're not overlapping my two studs. I don't want them to also overlap on a bye week, and then I'm kind of out of luck no matter which way you cut it. So trying to focus a little bit more on that. I will say one guy I am really looking forward to playing actually whenever one of my running backs is on a bye week. That is Justice Hill with the Baltimore Ravens. He had a pretty good game last week. Again, he's always due for at least a couple of games every single year when he does pop off, get a couple more touches. Maybe Derrick Henry needs a little bit more rest. He's getting more involved in the passing game too. So I think whenever I do end up with a running back on there, I will probably be putting Justice Hill in there, but we'll see. I haven't had to yet. Probably should have done it last week, but again, missed out on that.
The message of the week is it's waivers. We'll leave that in.
Yeah.
It's bye week time, so check your lineup, see who's, maybe it's not this week that you're going to get hit by the buys, but we've got the big bye weeks are coming, and there's going to be more than just 4 teams off, and some of the star players. So just keep that in mind. Thanks to Phil. Thanks to Alec for joining me this week, and we'll see you next week on Fantasy Plus. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.